All right, so we are live. Welcome everyone to the Studio One session here. Just let me know in the chat if you can hear me. I'm just going to check my system here. Last week we had a little bit of problems with audio, so just let me know in the chat if you can hear me and see everything okay. Really excited and pumped you are here. We're going to be talking about mixing a song from start to finish inside of Studio One. And I'm going to be using a song that I wrote with my band called Holy Ghost Fire, and we're going to be using it. I have all the stems pulled up here, and there's actually, there's no effects or anything on it. So we're going to be using this. I want to show you 5 things that I typically go through to do this, and just kind of really outline this system and process, and hopefully we'll be getting it done within an hour. So also, if you have any questions, leave them in the chat because I want to go over that at the end of the video. Okay, so just leave a question in the chat, but we'll get started. Like I said, I just want to make sure everyone can hear me okay, so leave a chat or a message just to make sure. All right, so the first thing that I really like to do is to go through and organize. So this would be like the step 1, is to organize all my tracks just to make sure they are, it's just easier to work with that way. As far as coloring them and organizing them together. So let's start with the drums. So I have over here the rack. Let's pull in the snare. We're just going to kind of move them so they're close to each other. We have some percussion tracks up here. Let's bring them down. And Studio One kind of automatically colors everything, but we can fix that. The floor tom we'll bring down there. And I usually like to put the kick and the snare next to each other. Overheads, floor, rack 1. All right, so now what we'll do is select all of these, and then we will just choose one color. I usually like to go with red for drums. Let's see, electric guitars is next. Let's bring that together. And I think there's only, there's a couple more. Let's pull these up here, and we will make these blue. It just, as you can see visually, it starts to look a little bit easier. Then next we'll do vocals, and let's see, let's pull this up here. And the vocals here. And let's make the vocals, I don't know. What color should we do the vocals? How about yellow? Yeah, that's kind of bright. We'll make the vocals green. And then the bass is up here. So we'll make the bass purple. So it's kind of easier to see. So now you can see that everything is routed, and visually we can see it. Now what's kind of cool is that you can also pack things up. If you wanted to create a folder for the drums, you could do that and just minimize all that. The way you do that is you select the whole thing, and then you right click on it, and you say group selected tracks, and then we could call this drum. And then all you have to do is you can pack folder. So now it isolates all of those. We'll make these red too. So it gives you a little bit more screen space, which is kind of nice. Now, if we go over to here, it'll also line up here, so everything is in the same color. So what I'm going to do here now is just highlight all of this, and then I'm going to create a bus track for these, so that later we can route all of those to this bus. Okay, so I'm not sure why it didn't do it, but we're gonna go like this, and we're gonna select input, or not input, sorry, the mains, and we're gonna send that to bus 1. So now all of our drum tracks are gonna go to bus 1, and then we can rename that. Let's call that drum bus there. So now I can see that everything is being routed to the drums, the drum bus. Let's do the same for the vocals. So we'll highlight all of these vocal tracks, and we'll say add bus for selected channel. That's what I missed before. And then it automatically creates that, that bus channel. And then we'll go over here and we'll just call this vocal bus. And then finally, we'll do this for the guitar as well. So we'll add bus for selected channels, and then we will rename the bus for the guitar bus. Okay, so now we have everything routed. The bass I'm not going to bother to route because basically it's already on its own track. So now we have everything kind of visually organized a little bit better. And now this leads to the second thing that I kind of do is just basically editing. And because I've actually recorded these tracks already, I've already edited them. What editing is basically making sure there's, you've adjusted any crossfades or fades in the music, fixed any mistakes. If there was any overdubs or things like that, that would have been in the editing phase. So we're not going to do that right now, but that's what I would do in this second part. The third part is we're going to go through and we're going to listen to everything. So that's what we're going to do now is just kind of do a run through. We're going to listen to things. We're going to apply some panning and automation if we have to. So this is a really important step before you add any effects. You want to listen to it. So let's just give it a listen. And I can see right off the bat the vocals are too loud. I remember when we recorded this and the vocals, I just had the level a little bit too loud. So I'm going to bring those down. So everything's dry completely. Now I know right off the bat, I'm going to pan. Whoops, these are all selected, so it's doing it for everything. I'm going to pan. Oh, you know what? I have to ungroup this because when you do a group track, basically it kind of groups everything together. So let's say we're going to just unpack this track so that like we can mix it. Show hide. How do I forgot how to do this? Collapse all tracks. I think if I remove this track, yeah, that'll do it. So I'm going to go back to the mixing window and we're going to just the overheads. I'm going to do. Whoops. All right, I have to unpack these tracks. Hang on, guys. Sorry about this. So I'm going to select everything. Dissolve group. Okay. So I'm going to overheads. I'm going to pull one all the way right, and then I'm going to pull the other one all the way left because I know I want to do that. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the guitars. I know that the main two guitar parts, I like to pan hard left and hard right. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. There's two rhythm guitar tracks, and then there's a slide and a solo track. These are the percussion. So I think I'm going to pan these percussions a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead and mute the vocals now. Just get a rough level on the music. Now, one thing I can't hear is the keys. Is the keys here? So if I open up the keys track, they were just recorded way too quietly. So if we solo them out, you can hear it, but it's faint. So what I like to do is, since I don't want to like crank it up here, is the input section. Let's, where's the input controls? There's an input controls right here. If you select input controls, now I can see this, it's like the input going into the mixing session. So what I'm going to do is just turn up the keys here. Let's see what that does. They were pretty low. Where are they? I'm going to bring them up some more. So you can see it's not doing anything post fader, but it's doing everything pre fader. So now I can hear that better. Here are the background vocals. So what I might do on the background vocals is actually, so I have myself and the drummer, we're both singing, is I might pan us a little bit right and left. Yeah, that's better. So just to give a little bit wider feel for the drums, or for the vocals. Okay, so that's basically it for this step, is just selecting the volume levels and getting a good volume. So it's feeling pretty good at this point, just going through and getting the volume to the correct places. We're going to be doing a little bit of tweaking now, because the next step is mixing individual instruments. But you just want to go through and just make sure you have a basic level that feels pretty good for the instruments. So let's listen to the drum tracks now and apply any of effects. We're going to just solo these out. Let's start from the beginning. So when I'm applying effects, I kind of go as a default to the order of this. So I'll either start with Pro EQ or EQ, and then I'll go to compression. After that, I'll do delay, reverb, and then Pro EQ again at the end of the chain. And that's kind of a rough outline of what I might do. So let's start, if we... They feel pretty good. So I'm going to go right for the compressor, and let's try the fat channel. And let's turn this on. Sometimes what I like to do is just go and just start with some of their presets and just see what it sounds like with the presets. Oh, that's not good. Just to see what we can give me a starting place. It's okay. Let me see. I'm actually going to do something different. Let's try to do the regular EQ, or regular compressor. So I'm going to remove this and put in this compressor. So visually you can see this a little bit easier. I'm going to pull down the threshold a little bit and then maybe try a 3-to-1 ratio. Attack time pretty quick and release time pretty quick. Now you can see in the yellow here when it's being applied. So when the compression is being applied here, the yellow is going down, showing you how much it's reducing. And then you can apply some makeup gain here if you want to boost it up again for what you've missed. So that will bring some of the lower end down. So that feels pretty good. I'm going to bring it down a little bit. Let's add some EQ. I'll probably do a little bit of a low cut. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is add some reverb first, or some. Let's try a little bit of delay. Now, you have to be careful with delay on drums, obviously, because you don't want to have too much. So let's turn this way down. Oh, it's locked. Maybe to like there. Very little feedback, just a little bit of an effect. You can select over here what kind of delay, if you want to sync it. Let's try just regular eighth notes. It's subtle. And I'm going to pull this back to about 3%. Maybe 2%. All right, let's add some reverb in there. Next. If you guys have questions, just leave them in the chat and I'll go through that at the end. There's our reverb. So we're going to pull this down a little bit. The drummer for my band is a phenomenal drummer. Alex, if you're watching this, you rock, man. So the vibe I'm going for with this song is kind of a gritty blues rock kind of vibe. So I want a little bit more raw, authentic sound in the drums. A little bit big. Now, the thing about mixing individual instruments is once you get back in there and you listen to everything as a whole, it could totally change. So I don't go crazy and try to spend a lot of time here. And let's put the Pro EQ at the very end of the chain. And what this does is it will take away any unnecessary like low end that may be from the reverb or the delay that kind of lingers there. So let's just do a really quick shelf here at, yeah, that's about right. Maybe at like -50, just so we can hear that. And you can also see with the EQ curve here, you know, if there's any frequencies that are getting out of hand. And I'm not seeing really any ones that are jumping too high off. So let's go to the bass now. So I'm going to select all this and all right, let's just solo out the bass real quick. Sometimes with bass, I like to add a little bit of distortion, which is kind of a neat. So for this I might do the EQ first, because he's got a little bit of rattle in the bass from where his finger is hitting the bass, hitting the strings. Maybe it's around. So find that frequency. And just pull it down. Oh, that's not where it was. Right there. Did you hear that? That little slap? Where is that frequency? It sounds pretty high. So we'll create a little loop over here, and just to find that frequency. It's right there. Maybe it's a bit higher. Where are you? Well, I'm not going to spend too much time with this, but I would find that like that little slap frequency and try to pull that down. What if we do this? Oh, that's better. I'm going to do it right about there, but we will really narrow this down. Yeah. So this is what I would try to find, these problem spots in the mix where there's like little frequencies that are coming out that you might want to pull down. But let's go over to the low cut, and we're just going to do a low cut here, a really quick shelf, and maybe around, again, 40 hertz, somewhere around there. Okay, let's move on and add some. Let's try the red light district. This is kind of neat if we're getting a really edgy kind of bass sound. Let's go to like this section. Now you could do a splitter here and just do half of the, if you wanted to put it on half of the track. So what you could do is add a splitter, almost like a little parallel processing here. And this is a split tool, and if we just put the distortion on one side here, it's kind of cool. So it's not applying it to the whole track, just 50% of the track. Here's without. Oh, let's go back. With distortion, without. Kind of just makes it pop a little bit more in the mix, which is kind of cool. So I'm gonna leave that there. All right, let's move to the guitars, and let's solo out these guitars. Immediately, I mean, I'm a guitar player, so I like big, wide, panned guitar parts. Excuse me. Let's listen to this. So let's just add a little bit of compression. the guitars already have some effects on them from the pedals themselves going in, so I don't need to do a lot here. But let's just add a little bit more compression just to tighten this up. Yeah, it's not really doing too much because it's already been compressed, but we'll leave that there as like a little bit of a safety if you want to add some more on there. Now you can try the fat channel as well for guitars. They have a lot of cool sounds, and again, sometimes I might just start with the presets and just see where that brings me. Let's try this. This is rock, just the rock preset. That's pretty cool. This is without the fat channel. So it definitely gives it a little bit extra. It did boost it up a little bit. So you can see the gain is set to 5.8. So I'm going to turn that down a little bit because sometimes but this is what I love about the fat channel. It really kind of colors the sound a little bit, makes it pop. You just want to make sure that just because it's louder doesn't mean it's better. So oftentimes if you just crank the gain, sometimes it sounds better. But I'm going to leave that. I'm not going to do the regular digital compressor from Studio One, but I'm going to try this fat channel. I like that preset. See what let's turn the EQ off. That's with it on. That's with it off. So that's cool. Let's leave that. Now let's add a little bit of delay into the guitar. Not too much. Yep. That's way too much. So we're going to turn this down. Maybe I'll set it to... Yeah. Again, I'm going for kind of a raw, bluesy rock sound, so I don't want to have it too crazy. But just a little bit of delay will widen that sound even more so. And then add a little bit of reverb to the guitars. Where are you, reverb? Just do the regular room verb. So you can hear it as I press stop, the reverb tail. So it's just giving a little bit here. So here's with everything, and then here's with that nothing. So you can hear that it colors it a little bit, it widens it a little bit, it opens out the sound a little bit, but I'm pretty happy with that. So let's leave that. And again, if you wanted to turn the guitars down, you could do it straight from the guitar bus. So we'll kind of leave that once we hear everything back in together. All right, finally, let's do the vocals. So we are going to solo this out. We want to unsolo these guitar tracks here. All right. Ghost fire, I want to burn for you. I hear the keys in there somewhere. Oh, let's yeah, we don't want the keys. The keys are being sent to the vocal bus, so I'm going to send those back out to the mains here. All that I desire, I give it all to you. It's a holy ghost fire, I want to burn for you. So those are just the harms. You're all that I desire, I give it all to you. It's a holy. Okay, so the first thing, let's kind of go through the same process. If you like the sound, if you're happy with it tonally, then I would move to the compressor first. If you don't really like it, if you're hearing kind of syllabuses that you're not really liking, then you can kind of start with the EQ first as opposed to that. So let's just start with an EQ, and we'll see if we can do everything all at once. We might not be able to. But
fire, I wanna burn for you. You're all that
I'm hearing like a little bit, particularly with Renee's voice, the singer.
I desire, I give it all to you.
Just a little bit of this.
It's a Holy Ghost fire, I wanna burn for you. You're all that I desire, I give it all to you. It's a Holy Ghost fire, I wanna burn for you.
So I'm hearing da 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 da, that really high note. She's an octave above what I was just singing. Just kind of, it's kind of piercing a little bit.
You're all that I desire, I give it all to you. It's a Holy Ghost fire, I wanna burn for you. You're all that I desire, I give it all to you. It's a Holy Ghost fire.
Yeah, that's better. So I'm just going to pull down that frequency just a little bit, just to make sure, that's not coming through too much in the mix. All right, let's add a little bit of a compressor. Again, let's try the fat channel since we've been having some luck with that. And just see what we got just as a starting place for the vocals. I don't know. Let's just try this.
I wanna burn for you.
Wow.
You're all that
made it pop.
Desire,
I'm going to turn the limiter off.
To you. It's a Holy Ghost fire, I wanna burn for you. You're all that I desire, I give it all to you.
So you can see what the EQ is doing over here, just basically rolling off some of the low end, boosting it a teeny bit at, 3 kilohertz.
It's a Holy Ghost fire, I wanna burn for you.
And then you can see what the compressor is doing here.
You're all that
I'm going to turn it down a little bit.
I give it all to you. It's a Holy.
Cool. All right, let's add a little bit of delay to the vocal. Oops, not the mix effects. We're going to add some delay here. I love the analog delay in Studio One. That's that's a little bit much.
I wanna burn for you. You're all that I desire, I give it all to you. It's a Holy Ghost fire, I wanna burn for you.
All right, that's kind of cool.
You're all that I desire, I give it all to you. It's a Holy Ghost fire, I wanna burn for you.
I like that tight delay sound. Let's go with some reverb now. By the way, you can save all of your plugin settings in Studio One, and kind of like if you have a kind of vocal chain you like, you can save that chain. It's really neat so that you can save some time at the end. All right, here's some with some reverb.
You're all that I desire,
Too much.
I give it all to you. It's a Holy Ghost fire, I wanna burn for you. You're all that I desire.
Again, we're listening to it by itself, so it could sound completely different when we put everything together.
I give it all to you. It's a Holy Ghost fire, I wanna burn for you.
Let's do a little more.
You're all that I desire, I give.
Let's see how that sounds in the mix. So you can barely hear the delay. What's so interesting too is now the guitars are really too loud, so we're just going to go back and fix it now that we've kind of added these things. So let's just bring the guitars down a little bit at the guitar bus.
I wanna burn for you. You're all that I desire. I give it all to you. It's a Holy Ghost fire. I wanna burn.
So I'm going to bring up this reverb a little bit now because it seems a little bit dry with everything in there. So this is kind of a thing you're going back and forth playing with delays and reverb. Let's bring this up a tad.
You're all that I desire. I give it all to you. It's a Holy Ghost fire. I wanna burn for you. You're all that I desire.
They still, if the vocals still feel like they're fighting the instruments a little bit, I'm going to bring the bass down a hair.
I give it all to you. A Holy Ghost fire.
And just bring the guitars down maybe another. So I just keep going back to this chorus section.
You're all that I desire. I give it all to you. Oh, it's a holy.
That lead part is jumping out at me. So I might, on the ending chorus, I might have to fix that.
It's a Holy Ghost fire. I wanna burn for you. You're all that I desire. I give it all to you. A Holy Ghost fire.
Just gonna bring the guitars down a teeny bit again. That's better.
It's a Holy Ghost fire. It's a Holy Ghost fire. It's a holy.
So one thing that you can do is you can see that in the vocal track itself, right here, the waveform is just pretty. It's. Let me see if you can see that, like, it's pretty drastic. So right here where it's getting quiet, one thing that you can do, okay, it's like kind of a quick edit for vocals, is you can create a little bit of if you split the vocal here, where she's starting.
It's a Holy Ghost fire.
So where she's kind of quiet, what you could do is split it here, and then split it here, and then just drag up on this track and boost the level just a little bit, and you can see the waveform getting bigger. So let's listen to it now.
It's a Holy Ghost fire. It's a Holy Ghost fire.
And it's about the same size as now the other waveform.
It's a Holy Ghost fire. It's a Holy Ghost fire. I wanna burn for you.
So it's kind of like doing a little bit of a mini compressor in that way, just a volume adjustment if there's a real problem with the levels there.
You're all that I desire. I give it all to you.
So right there, like that one, this little spot here, you could do the same thing where she got quite a bit louder. So you could select it here, and then just bring this down like that. So let's hear that.
I give it all to you. It's all
I might even bring it down some more. Let's bring it down like 2.5 dB.
I give it all to you.
Yeah.
It's so holy.
So it's just kind of like applying a mini compressor there, just doing some volume adjustments. Okay, so then now that I've gotten a relatively good mix, just using the vocals, the guitars, all the instruments in here,
Ghost fire.
I'm gonna go over to the main outs, the main section of the tracks, and let's try something on the mix effects. So the mix effects in Studio One is where you're kind of applying a console shape here, and it like emulates an analog console. So let's listen to see what this sounds like.
I wanna burn for you. You're all that I desire. I give it all to you. Holy Ghost fire.
That's kind of cool.
There's no denying
So if we turn it off,
love that captured me.
turn it back on.
With arms open wide.
Yeah, I can see then that vocal part. I'm gonna have to do some editing too to get the vocal to sit where I want it to on the verses versus the chorus. So I generally try to do as much as I can with the bus tracks to get everything sounding pretty good, but you do need sometimes to go back into the individual instruments and edit those separately. If I was mixing this for, in an actual mix I was going to release, I might put the vocals, that lead vocal track, on a separate bus channel than the harmonies. I think that might work out better in terms of just getting the volume to be more consistent. But this is that mix effects. I have a plan.
Lightning came from above.
It's on the whole entire track here.
And you helped me to.
So this is with it on, with it off,
It's a holy
with it on again.
Ghost fire. I wanna burn for you.
It's just kind of cool. You can try it too.
You're all that I desire.
That's a little noisier. You can hear the noise with it.
I give it all to you. A Holy Ghost fire.
So you can kind of experiment through, but I always use these. I think they're so cool. These are just different presets.
It's a holy
Not really a fan. I kind of like this CTC.
Ghost fire. I wanna burn for you.
That's a bit warmer with the tube.
All that I desire. I give it
I kind of like this one. It basically
all to you. A Holy Ghost fire.
just makes it pop out a little bit. Whoops. The next thing, this is kind of something that you would be doing in mastering, but if you want to on the post, you could apply a limiter, even some EQ here if you wanted to apply it to the whole track itself. I wouldn't do this if I was going to be mastering it. I would do mastering as a separate process, but if you want to just export your song, go over to here, add a limiter. And let's just set the ceiling for -1. Maybe set the threshold for -1. Now you can see I'm not really hitting 0. So let's try this. Let's boost it a little bit. Let's go to the loudest part of the song.
It's a holy Ghost fire. I wanna burn for you.
So you can see that I'm still around
You're all that
-1.
I desire. I give it all to you.
And you can see where it's, when that yellow peak is coming through, it's applying a bit of limiting.
Ghost fire.
Yeah, so now it's definitely going. And if I go to the end of the song, yeah, so that's pretty good. I have the gain at 6. I probably even could push it to 7. Let's see what that does. Again, this is a kind of a mastering thing, so I would really save that for the mastering. But that's basically the process. So kind of just to recap here, we've gone from mixing a song, and I don't know, we're about 45 minutes into this live stream, but we've organized all the tracks first. We've edited them, fixed any mistakes. Then we go through, the third step is volume control. So we're applying panning, automation in that step. Then we go through and mix individual tracks on the bus track. So you can see all the bus tracks we have. We have a guitar bus, a drum bus, a vocal bus down there. And then we're adding any effects in that order. And then finally, the fifth step is we applied some the console shaping tools to the main outs, and we did a limiter here as well. So this is basically the process that I go through for mixing. I found it works really well for me. And you might have to spend a little bit of more time, like I said, with individual tracks, maybe some problem areas in the mix. At this point, I would export the song. Let me show you how I do that, actually. So to export the song, you click Export Mixdown, save it as a WAV file. That's the highest, that's the best form, 16-bit. Depending if you're going to be mastering it, I would save it to 24-bit. Label your track. I usually do the loop function, so I make a loop for the entire range of the song that I'm exporting. You can adjust the loudness for streaming platforms, but if you are going to be mastering it, I would leave this unchecked. That way the mastering engineer or yourself could do the mastering at the end, and that's really it. And then I would go through and listen to it a different set of speakers, maybe your car, maybe your iPhone with some headphones, see how it sounds there. Hopefully, if you've done everything up to this point, it sounds good consistently on those mix, but that's always the best way to test it. So I do want to mention too, I do have a music production course. It's called Music Production 101. It basically is a course that teaches you all of this from the beginning stages of recording your first track all the way up through mixing it, through mastering it, and finally releasing it on streaming platforms such as Spotify and Amazon and YouTube and all those things. So if you want to get it, it's called Music Production 101. There's a link in the description below. It's on sale now for $47, so you can check that out there. And if you guys have any other questions, just leave them in the chat. But it's been super fun. We have George saying that Studio One is the best DAW. I completely agree. Thank you, George. Elvado is in Brazil. Hey, man, what's up? Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. This has been so much fun doing these live streams. I hope they're valuable to you, and I hope to keep doing them in the future. I got a lot of fun stuff planned coming up in 2024, teaching music production and songwriting. So I look forward to seeing you then. And until then, guys, I will see you later. Thanks so much for tuning in.